What's up, everyone? Welcome back to a video. Today we are doing another episode of our Doodle Empire Middle East series. So let's start the video. As of right now, you're watching either the fifth. I think this is either the fifth or sixth episode. I'm not sure. I think we're on the fifth at this point. So let's go over what happened in the previous episode. In the previous episode, we saw the rise and then the fall of the Cypriot Empire again, and this resulted in the War of the Second Coalition, which the Great Coalition consisted of the Sultanate of Turkey, Libya, the Second Yemeni Republic, the various Ethiopian states, and the Iran Seventh. We also saw the Red Omanis being annexed by the Yemanis. The occupation of Oman by the two member states of Qatar, UAE, and we also saw the expansion of the Iranian colony, and the overseers electing a new leader. All right, a split will happen, but troops from the UEA troops will prevent this. As of right now, we are still in the 8th Division. The Qataris will make a land connection. Qatar is now bigger than Qatar UAE. Sultanate will expand, and they will decide to seize all this area. No one had claimed it yet. They'll have a small split, and this region will become known as Lebanon. Now, at this point, Suleiman City is divided into two occupation zones, the Yemeni zone in the south, and in the north, the Turkish zone. The split is up to here. They also will seize Cyprus in the treaty, but in exchange for this, both sides will halt hostilities. The Yemenis will adopt a religion, and they decide to break with the Buddhists in Turkey, and they decide to adopt Libyan Islam. So now we have in nearly the entirety of Arabia practices Libyan Islam. A small minority in Oman practices Buddhism. The Caucasians and the various Iranian groups over here, as well as the Iranian colony, the joint Iran colony, practice Taoism. The Christianity still exists in Greece, albeit substantially smaller. Buddhists still exists in the newly formed state over here in the central Mesopotamians. They still practice it. So at this point, the religion map is getting interesting, to say the least. The United East Arabs will have a split. Now the question is, will they split into the UAE and Qatar? The answer is no. The union is very stable. These two are very stable union, and so the Qatari group just wants to have more money. So they basically want to get more of the money from the Kuwaiti goods that comes in. So in exchange for the UAE gaining the military forts over here, the split is averted. So this nation the union between the UAE and Qatar will not break up. In fact, I'm going to change their name because I don't call them the UE. I call them Qatar UAE. So yeah, that's what I'm going to call them from now on, because I don't call them by their official name. Lebanon will have a small expand. They will seize the rest of Suleiman City, which the Yemeni government will threaten them. So they will seize this land, but in exchange for averting war, they'll take all of this area. So they are allowed to keep this. So this is like, if you will, like the Cypresians, but on a way smaller scale. The Turkish government and the Yemanis both decided that they'd be better off having a smaller Cypresia rather than having constant Cypresian revolts. So reluctantly, they've made this thing a country. The Yemanis have very good relation with the Libyans, and then they have good relation with the Turks. However, they do request control over this area, which the Turks do allow them to take all of this. The Turks just wanted North African land. That's the only reason why they have this Egyptian territory. So in exchange for them in exchange for the Yemanis agreeing not to seize it, they will get all land east of this river. The Yemanis will then start to expand, and they will go down the Horn of Africa. As you can see, they're getting very close to getting all of Somalia. The joint colony will have a new leader, and this guy. So basically, their first leader was widely popular. Their second leader was not popular at all. Now the electors have decided to pick someone new. So let's see how that goes for them. The northern Greeks will have a split, and this region will become known as Albania. The Albanians are allowed to leave. The Greeks don't want them to, but the Turks threaten to intervene militarily. So the Greeks will allow them to leave. But in a show of solidarity with the Turks, who got them their independence, they will adopt Buddhism. So now the Greeks are surrounded by Buddhists on all sides. Sultanate will adopt a religion. They will decide to stick with Buddhism. They were the ones who founded it. Second Yemeni Republic will move. They will build a castle. And they will build it. They're debating. So they decide. So they could build it here. They could build it here. And they decide to reinforce their border. Southern Suleiman City Fort. The joint colony will be small expand. Their new leader is way more popular. He tolerates the dissent by the people who preferred the first leader. However, the first leader is Sesma at this point. She was like the top general in charge of the Kuwaiti military before she got the job. And she got recalled back to Kuwait. That's the reason why they chose someone new. Then the second guy, he nearly got killed. And the second leader, he nearly got killed, basically. So the government, so the people who like choose the leader, they all decided to just exile him. So now he is the leader of this thing. He leads this small nation. So that's why they shifted leaders. So Lebanon, this is like supposed to be Cypriotic, but they're not gonna let them have that name back. They will seize the southern city, which is a move that the Yemanis do not like at all, but they will then break the treaty and move across this river. The Yemanis will respond with seizing the city and sparking a war. The Turkish government intervened, basically telling the Yemanis to calm down, and basically saying that the Lebanon government will be able to, basically the Turks want to re-annex Cyprus, so they agree to let them hold this area. They agree to let this be a buffer state. So like they agree to let the Cypresian people have a country here, and they also allow them to have autonomy. So as a result, they agree like peace. Oh yes, in order so that way you can tell it's part of the Iran 7. So basically, if they have a 10, this is how you can tell. Iran 7. This is how you can tell. They'll have a little thing marking them as part of the Iran 7. I'll have this little tent thing. This is what you can tell. member of the Iran 7. Well, Caspia got annexed by the Caucasians. The Caucasian women founded it. So technically it's the Iran 6, but they decided to allow Yemen to join it. So that's the reason why there's still 7 members. They're also a member too. So these are the members, right? We have Caucasia, Caspia, because they unified with Caspia, who they were the reason why they got colonized. We have the central Mesopotamians. They're the second member. Kuwait is the third member. Qatar, the Qatar UEA are the third member. The Turks are the 5th member. The Yemanis are the 5th member. I mean the 6th member. Wait, hold on. Let me recount. I'm terrible at this. Member 1, member 2, member 3, member 4, member 5. This should be member 6. And then the 7th member is Caspia, which doesn't exist technically. But they're like the highly autonomous region of Caucasia at this point. They agreed to give away their sovereignty. They agreed to be part of the Caucasians in exchange for substantial autonomy. Iran 7. Remember, leave the Iran 7, it will be removed from their nation. Oh yeah, and this nation's capital is like right here. It's like this small city. It's like a city right here, like right in between these two. I never pointed out where their capital was. Alright, we have these two marked, this one marked, this one marked. That's 4, 5. That one's marked at 6. Okay, that's all the members marked. We got Libya. We're having a split. However, the Turkish government, in exchange for uniting with the Libyans, they will be given, in exchange for putting down the rebellion, the Turks have united with the Libyans. The Yemanis aren't exactly fans of this, like, for having a member state. Because, I mean, they don't hate the Turks very much. Like, they're on good terms, but, like, the Yemanis have a tad distrust towards Turkey because they're worried a coalition will take them out next. But they'd be way harder to invade. So the Turks will legally annex Cyprus. As you can see, they've annexed it. They will then seize this area, these small regions, which they don't really care about the Cypriots. They will then march into this area, which no one claims. Pretty much no one's angry about this. Turks will have a split. The split is initially North Africans want to split, but the Yemeni government, in exchange for an agreement with Turkey that no coalition will be started against them, they agree to send troops in. So the Yemeni government is able to calm down the Libyan people to not revolting. So yeah, this area is given substantial autonomy, like this whole Libyan area. This Egyptian part is like the core territory, this part, but everything else, all this is not like the core Turkish territory. That's like a autonomous region. That's the autonomous Libyan region. Central Ethiopia will get a large expand. They will use this. The Ethiopian state should just unify at this point. And honestly, they probably will unite eventually. No one knows when now. They're all planning on uniting soon. The Ethiopians will get a large expand. They will seize this part of the Nile, which was contested, which the Yemanis are annoyed, but they don't really, anchor anyone right now. Because remember, the Yemanis are constantly worried about a coalition. I mean, they're not worried about Turkey anymore. They're worried about someone else. Because think about it. Everyone knows that whenever the Turks are angry at someone, they're always able to get a huge coalition. The Iran 7 is mostly an economical pact. It's not a military agreement. Only these states already are part of the military agreement. Turkey is not in the military part. They're only in the economic part to get economic rights over parts of the Iran colony. So, like, the Iran 7 is two separate alliances. You have the military one, which most of the members, except for Turkey and Yemen, are part of, and every other member is part of the economic one. So now, the Caspian and Iran, which the Caspians founded, they will push into this small country. Alright, they will build a castle right here. The Omani government agrees. This is basically like their unofficial border. I'm gonna call this the Yemeni Ethiopian. This is like the military fort. Both sides agree to respect this. Like the Ethiopians agreed to pay for it and build it, but the Yemenis agreed not to intrude on it. Like the Yemenis can expand over here; they don't care about losing this piece of their territory. So basically, all these Ethiopian states are in like a military alliance, an unofficial one, which the Yemenis are an observer of. The joint colony will found its own religion. Now, it was one of the few nations to be aside from Caucasia, they were the only nation to practice Taoism. So this nation will practice the unified religion of Taoism. Like again, when we collect Taoism, Buddhism, and then I'll give it like this color. Oh yeah, and Islam. I can't change it, but they also practice the Libyan Islam. It's like an agreement that they all follow the same religion. It's like the thing. Qatari Oman will get an expansion. They will expand to the Omani portion and annex it completely. They will also seize some more parts of Oman. The Yemeni government is angry, so the Yemeni government will have a small split. Now this split, now the Yemeni government is certainly interesting because they span, as you can see, they span from the tip. They span all the way from this nation, right, all the way down to here, which I think they're the biggest nation right now. They're also most powerful economically because they're part of the Iran 6, and in exchange, so basically, what happens is, right, here's what happens. So, they agreed to allow the Somalian country to become independent. Now, the reason why is quite simple. The reason is because the former leader of the Iran colony, that female general, who was a Kuwaiti general, then she became the leader of this thing. She was very popular, and she got called back to Kuwait to help fight the war against the Cypriotian coalition, or like prepare for it, and then she fought in it. So now she basically becomes leader of this new Somali state. A lot of people like her, so she wins the Yemeni government agrees to nominate her as leader. It's like a unanimous decision. Almost everyone in the state supports it. So now the Somali government is officially a thing. They'll get a large expand. I forgot what her name was. I'm gonna have to check. Let me pause the video. Hold on. Actually, you know what? Let me pause it. Alright, we're back. I'm pretty sure the general's name was Katsy, I think. So yeah, we are going to just go with this. I think that was her name. So we have Crete, have a split. And this split happens because basically the Turkish government wants to annex Crete. Because the reason why is because they want to re-annex Greece. Now, they know they can't do it now, obviously. It's way too risky to do it now. So they don't. But the Greek nations, so all these Greek nations are in a military pact, and this is mostly to ensure that Turks can't re-expand here. So they all agree to defend each other. The member states are Northern Greece, like the Thrace, Northern Greece, the two Central and Southern Greek nations, and then Crete. So the rebellion is not allowed to happen and is put down. The Turkish government will attempt to land but they realize that if they do, then it'll spark a war, and the Turks do not want to get into a war right now. Because, think about it, you're fighting against a bunch of nations who know this land better than you. I mean, the Turks know the land, but, like, over time, they haven't owned this land in a while. Because these turns are in terms of years. So, like, this nation is nearly 300 years old, as you can see. And it's going to build a castle. But, like, aging doesn't happen in this thing. It's like, basically, aging happens every, like, let's just say every 20 years in this series. You age 1 year every 20 years. I'm doing this mostly like every turn is like a year unless it's a war. If it's during a war, it's like a week or a month. Alright, let's build a castle. This will be known as the Tar military base. This base was one of the bases that the Qatari government had founded before the group founded the Iran colony. So then Crete will have a new leader. In order to prevent another split, a election is held. These three will rig them to have someone who is a hill dweller and uniter. So that way they hope a rebellion will not happen. These two will have a split, but once again, their system is strong, and if this did happen, then the Kuwaiti military would roll up with tanks. The Qatari military, the Kuwaiti military is not going to allow this thing to split, because they are a major aid to this thing. And plus, they can always have the general in charge of this thing, they can always have her come back and, deal with this. Oh, yeah, this nation still exists. Okay, hold on, where are they? I'll deal with them, hold on. That's supposed to exist. I think right here. Okay, guys. Should be... Is that it? Yeah, should be the nation. I hope it's eliminated now. Because they got, forced to be non-existent after the treaty. Okay, we should be good. Alright, Second Yemeni Republic, while being medium expanded, will seize this area. The Turks just forgot to leave it. So now, the government will do something. So the question is, what will the Yemeni government do? Well, first off, they take out this group in Ethiopia. First off, that's like their main goal for now. They then decide to start to move. Now they debate whether or not to invade this thing, but then they realize that we don't want to annoy the Turkish government, because the Turkish government is certainly powerful. We all know how powerful the Turkish government is. They are the oldest civilization. Well, this is their second government. The first government collapsed following the Cyprian Union. But that lasted like a turn. That was like a year because the Turkish people rose up and obliterated it. So the Turkish government is culturally the oldest nation on this map by far. So obviously you don't want to anger a nation who has good relations, because they own North Africa. Don't forget, and this region is unstable because the Turks aren't exactly popular there. So the Yemeni government will, in exchange, basically the Yemeni government agrees to purchase this land from the Turks. It's up to like here is the land included in the deal. Everything up here, minus this little Egyptian part. The Central Mesopotamians will have a medium expanded. Remember, if any of these nations have a revolt, it's going to be put down no matter what, because these other member states will never allow this colony to collapse. They need this colony to exist because they get a ton of money, and plus the general in charge of running it is very popular. So splits are going to be very, very, very rare. Central Mesopotamians generally want to unite with Kuwait, but the Kuwait government doesn't deal with this much land. So that's like the only reason why these two haven't united yet is because Kuwait doesn't want to deal with all this land. Like, logically, this is an insanely huge state. I mean, it covers a ton of land, the Turkish border all the way down here, and Kuwait always has prided itself on being a relatively peaceful nation. So the Mesopotamians, the central ones, they decide to just go and get more unclaimed land they have. The Somalians, well, the Age of Unity starts. This is actually good. The Sultanate found its own religion, and it will found a new religion. Now let's think. What religion could they found? Well, they will found the religion of monarchical Islam. Now, monarchical Islam. Actually, no, monarchical Buddhism. I'll show what monarchical Buddhism is. So basically, so if you don't know, it's like the thing they did in like Japan when there was an emperor during like World War II. It's like that basically. Basically, they consider the Sultan, in this case the Sultaness, to be the daughter or son of a god. So that's the reason why it exists. So this basically makes that this government is not going to collapse anytime soon. Like this leader, the Sultaness, is not getting deposed. Kuwait will found its own religion as well. As you can see, a lot of religions are being founded. So the Kuwaitis will found its religion, and it will be called Kuwaiti. And this religion will be called Kuwaiti Republicanism. And the reason why, because Kuwait is led by a prime minister / president. So I'll explain what nations are democracies and which nations are not. So let's go over them. So first off, these various Greek states, all of these Greek states, all of them are democracies. All of them. Albania is led by a they're like unique that they're kind of led by the Sultaness of Turkey, but not. Basically, the Albanians consider the Sultaness to be their like leader and all, but in like name only. Kind of like how Canada's leader is technically the King of Britain, but their actual leader, their prime minister, is I think it's not I don't think it's Trudeau anymore. Whoever the new guy is, I forgot his name. It's not Trudeau though. But the Turks are a monarchy. They're an absolute monarchy. So the Mesopotamians are a mix of both. They're somewhat of a democracy, somewhat of a monarchy. They're a constitutional monarchy. The Yemanis are a republic, and they're what I like to call an Islamic republic. So like Iran, but way less authoritarian, basically, kind of like that. And we have Libya doesn't exist anymore. Who else? Let's see. The Ethiopians follow a unitary government, as in all these guys all agreed to be like a united government. So all these guys are technically one state in all but name. So that's the reason why they constantly are like changing borders, because they're like changing around the administrative borders. Somalia follows practically the same government as Yemen, is the Yemeni Republic. Qatar and the UAE are a dual monarchy. So basically, the Qatari king and the king of the UAE, they both agree to be like the joint rulers of this. The joint colony follows the choice made by the elector states. So in this case, is the current General Katsa. But she's so popular, which the point was the people accepted it anyway. They didn't even need to see election results. Let's see. Oh yes, Caucasia is ruled by a like nomadic system. So basically, different people rule each part, but like overall, their overall leader is Darius. He's like the one who rules the capital area. This nation doesn't have a capital, because it's like a nomadic nation. But if they did have a capital, it'd probably be like this, be around this lake area. So he rules this area with a bunch of other smaller regions that are led by different warlords. But like they all follow him. It's a pretty stable system, surprisingly. The Caspian region is led by the leader of the Caspian country before it got unified with the Caucasians. Then the Caspian in Iran is subject of the Caucasian government, but they're still like independent. And then East Inner Iran is a mess. I don't even know how to describe that. Oh yeah, and that's not supposed to be here. That's like a mess. That was a misclick. So those are the governments. So now we move on. Caspian Inner Iran will adopt a religion. And given that they're surrounded by Taoism on both sides, they choose Taoism. Taoism is the official religion of the Caucasian, as well as their two what do you call them? Their two subject states, or the two vassals. Taoism is quite an old religion, at least from what I remember. It was founded pretty early on in the series. Yeah, 435 years old. Let's see what the oldest religion is. I think Christianity is. Yeah, I think it's Christianity. First religion was technically Judaism, but in my opinion, the oldest religion, if we don't count Christianity, is Taoism. And the only reason why I'm not counting Christianity is because basically, so Christianity existed in the Cypresian region, and now it's taken over a whole different form. This is a whole different sect of Christianity. This is Greek Christianity. This is like a different thing entirely. Like classic, like Cypresian Christianity is not even a thing in this country anymore. Because most of the documents that, most of the books, most of the religious books are in like a government black site somewhere in the Turkish state, and they refuse to give them. In fact, they claim they don't exist, even though the Turkish Sultaness said they're on my desk right now. Like 4 months later, and 4 months later she said, "Oh, it has never existed, guys." That may or may not be a joke pertaining to a certain situation right now in U.S. politics. But anyway, the Buddhists are like the Turkic people still follow the Buddhist religion, but instead they basically give their sultaness more power than the Buddha guy. It's quite confusing how this thing works. These religions are very weird. And Kuwaiti republicanism is basically that we're a republic and we follow Kuwaiti ideals. And then the unified religion of Taoism, we're just gonna say the Buddhist, Taoist, Islamic religion. Let's see, how long is this recording for? Alright, I'll probably end it in 8 turns. Northern Greece will have a new leader. Central Mesopotamia will have a medium expand. Also, it looks like a huge war breaks out, then I'll maybe continue making the video, but it depends. Kuwait will build a castle. Why does Kuwait do this? Well, this is mostly to strengthen their port. Port of the port. That's such a stupid name, but it's so funny we're gonna keep it. Central Mesopotamia will have adopt a religion. So basically, a ton of nations are, so basically they're bordered on 3 religions, right? So in general, the nation I have the closest ties to is the Kuwaiti government, and that is because the Kuwaiti government was helping them. Like they're the ones providing, they provided the General Katsa to help them in their war against the Cypresians. So as a result, they decided to adopt the Kuwaiti religion. The Caucasians are generally quite a small religious group. Like the Caucasian, like Taoists. Like Taoism is, it's really small, and most nations don't want to adopt it because it generally doesn't make sense for them, because they don't follow the nomadic thing. Like the Caucasians are the only nation that follows a nomadic government. In Taoism, at least their version of Taoism is heavily associated with said nomadic government. So that's the main reason why no one is a Taoist, with the sole exception of their subject states or their vassals. And Libyan Islam is basically just a Libyan version of Islam. Since Libya no longer exists, it's like being reduced. So we have this Greek nation will start stealing land from the other one, and it will seize these islands from the Turks. It will then annex Crete. Why does it do this? Well, because nothing is stopping them from, technically. So they will. And the Turkish government will respond. And we'll see what that response is and probably like next episode. We'll see what response in next episode. Once we're done with this episode, you'll see the response next episode. So now the Greek government is doing quite well. This is the Greek government. Now, over this, Greek government is very angry. Despite this, they will invade. And so now a huge Greek war is broken out. Central Greece will start to move. They'll get medium expand. And so now the Great Greek War has started. And the Turkish government obviously is planning on joining. But the question is, which side do they choose? Now, they can either choose to join the side of the... So Albania wants some more land too. They want to have some extra land. So basically, the Turks are planning on joining on a third party, and so is Albania. So we're going to see a huge Greek war. Meanwhile, the Yemeni government is planning on aiding the central southern Greeks, and the Cypriots. This is technically Lebanon, but these are like the new Cypriot government, if you will. They're planning on also aiding these guys. So Yemen and the Cypriots, or at least Lebanon, will spark a secret deal where basically, in exchange for declaring war on the Turk, they both agree to something. They both agree to start aiding this nation because they want this nation to come on top in the Greek War, and the Albanians and the Turks want to completely annex this peninsula. So at this point, the war is probably going to be huge if it starts, because let's see whether or not the efforts to maintain the peace by the Central Mesopotamians and the Caucasians will hold. We'll see in the next episode. So for now, we're going to do the final two turns. They will unite. And who did they unite with? Well, I don't know. Now, the Lebanon, or the Cypriotian government, this is technically not Cypriotia. So given this, who do they unite with? Now, they're not allowed to unite with anyone, but they might unite with Central Mesopotamia. And the Turkish government, if they do this, I don't even know what they're going to respond with, but they do anyway. And this move will anger the Turkish government. Central Southern Greeks, however, will do a counter-offensive as the last move of this video. It will regain this area, and let's see if we see the Great War break out in the Balkans. Hope you all enjoyed. Comment, like, subscribe. I hope to see you all later. Goodbye, guys.